This media is brought to you by Polyscope.
In the realm of tomorrow, where techniques mind, we ponder, we dream.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to finally meet you in person because this is how we meet each other nowadays, over Zoom. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your organization, what you're passionate about?
Chris, well, thanks so much for having me. I don't know about you, but there's some days where I wish that we were in the office. Like, it seems like for the last 5-6 years, like I talk to people all over the world in Zoom. And so we all build these really nice backdrops and stuff for Zoom, but sometimes you miss the in-person. So again, great to meet you over Zoom. Sorry we couldn't meet in person, and glad to be on the show.
It might happen one day. Who knows? Anything's possible.
Anything's possible. Like, who knows? Well, like, maybe it'll be in virtual reality. So, what I'm doing these days is in AI. But for probably the last 7 years, I've been developing AI.
Wait. AI's only been around for 2 years. What are you talking about?
That's right. AI. Yeah, no one knows about it. It's so funny that for many people, ChatGPT is the beginning. Generative AI is the beginning of AI.
That's right. That's all they know. AI. That's AI. It's only been here for 2 years.
People don't know that, and maybe I'll go a little bit of my background because, like I said, I've been doing it for 7 years. If we go back way back in the day when I was in my 20s, remember used to, and I'm dating myself, but I was in my 20s. We'd all get those CDs in the mails that would AOL and all these dial-up solutions.
I remember those.
I remember looking at it, and I was like, all right. So the people that are starting these dial-up businesses are spending tens of thousands of dollars to have all these modems and stuff like that. But I can rent this server, buy this server, and then rent it out to people that host websites. So I could buy a $5,000 server and literally rent it out for $10,000 a month. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's a pretty fantastic business. And I happen to be down.
It's actually still a good business. Hosting is still a good business.
Well, that's true. It's still around. It's commoditized a bit, but certainly still there. Even the company that again, I'll jump forward, but the company I created, web.com, is still there. It's funny. I still have people.
What a great domain name. What a great domain name.
So I have people that I hired like 20 years ago that still work at the exact same company that I hired in my early 20s. So it's crazy. But back then, a lot of people don't get this is, we think about the internet at our house. Like, I have Gigi, you probably have Gigi. But back then I was in South Florida and I started this hosting company in my mid-20s that just took off. But back then there's only a 45 meg connection to the entire internet, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, where can I move that has high density of internet, people that aren't familiar, dark fiber, and it is low cost of living. So I actually moved to Atlanta, didn't know a single soul, rented half of a skyscraper with all of my savings, and built a company that we went from 0 to 200 million, did an IPO as CEO. So a really fun experience and a lot of things to do at a young age. Fast forwarding a little bit, because I don't want to go through all of it, I started getting into enterprise transformation. So I was at a company called Cox. Maybe you've heard of Auto Trader, Kelly Blue Book. I brought Andy Jassy, who we all know that now. He was at that point the CEO of.
Was Cox a cable company at one point?
Yeah, Cox is a really interesting business. So they've got a couple of different divisions. They have a media, which is like the old school TV stations and print. They've got cable, which, yes, that's the cable division. And then they've got automotive. Automotive is one of the biggest, and kind of up there with cable as far as profitable. But this would think about Manheim, Auto Trader, Kelly Blue Book, pretty much anything you can imagine that happens. Literally $100 billion go through the systems I used to run. Massive system. I knew nothing about it, but very, very interesting. And that was at the beginning of microservices and monoliths and moving to the cloud. So I actually was talking to AWS, and they were having a hard time having traction at Cox. And I said, listen, bring Andy here. I'll get all of the CIOs. We'll all sit in a room. Andy and I will talk about what modern software looks like. So Andy flew in. I took him up to the executive meeting, got all the global CIOs. And we just talked about like what modern software looks like, microservices and all that stuff, which kicked off a huge multi-year, $100-some-odd million cloud migration. But
fantastic.
Which was super exciting. So I've been in the middle of like that transformation, whether it be the web. And then I went to a company, New Relic. I don't know if you've heard of New Relic.
Oh yeah, I know New Relic.
Yeah,
It's less deep programmer type place.
Deep programmer,
Right.
big deep stuff. But for those that don't know, like we used to have those applications and like, you know, it would just break and it'd be really annoying, or the website would sometimes not work. And many of us as consumers have noticed over time, like, wow, our websites mostly work, right? Our applications mostly work. And that's because there's companies like New Relic behind the scenes that are basically sending little observability points. When I was at New Relic, I had product and engineering. We had 2 billion events coming in. So think about that from the internet, 2 billion events from
Yep.
websites, from applications, and basically making it more efficient, because we could tell people your system to a percentage of customers they're having a bad experience, and here's where the problem is.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
kind of
stuff like that
proactive.
it's not sexy, but it's super profitable, isn't it? Because it's essential. It's like foundational.
It's essential, yeah. Well, and if you think about even like web hosting, throughout my whole life, I've always been like, I want to be in the pick and shovel business
Mm.
versus the gold mining, right?
Yeah,
Because the
exactly.
gold miners, like if
The
you hit
pick
it,
and
it's
shovel
big.
guys, they're still millionaires and they keep making money.
Yes, right. So which business do you want to be in? And with all of those data points, what became a problem, if you think about billions and billions, so you think about like Disney was one of our customers. So behind the scenes, when you're using the Disney app to go have a great experience, it's sending metadata. So if you're having an error, if it's slow, it's
Right.
kind of telling HQ and helping people figure it out. And so, but what that created for developers was this alert noise. Like there's too many alerts. Which ones do I really pay attention to? And that's where I first started getting into AI. So I
Mm.
launched a product called New Relic AI, which took all of that data and looked for anomalies, right? So that
Interesting.
we can really get into it. So then it would say, even before something failed, even before customers could experience it, that's it. And so I was like, oh, this is great. You know, I did a bunch of other stuff, but I want to
Well, that's a
jump to
perfect use for AI. That's a absolutely
perfect use.
perfect use for
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So that was super interesting. And then I went to a company called Blameless. And so you think about going back to when software
By
breaks,
the
and
way,
of
that's a
course,
great name. I love it.
isn't it? I know when I went, I love the name. There's a
I
whole
want to
history.
work. I want to work for Blameless.
Yes, because it is a culture, right? If you've been there, you know, organizations that blame people for mistakes, what do humans do when you blame them for mistakes? They
Well,
hide it,
exactly. That's the first thing
right?
that they do.
That's they do. Wasn't my fault, you know, because I don't want to be the bad guy.
It's the vendor salute. Remember that?
Yeah, totally. It's over there. It's over here. So it kind of got me excited to get into that, and I love the name. And a friend of mine became CEO, so I went on there as COO. And it was a VC backed turnaround, big players like Excel and so forth. But what that software did, again, love the name, is when you have a big incident, you know, if you think about, there's a lot of people you have to coordinate. You're paging
Sure.
people on the call. So a lot of people don't know this unless they've really been in technology.
Yeah.
But like when Taylor Swift blows up Ticketmaster, behind the scenes, like people are getting paged to a call and they're, you know, or a Slack channel.
Oh,
And they're
hell yeah. And
what
it's
the
only
heck,
when
bro?
something goes wrong do these people like have to, it's like in front of when everything runs smoothly, you have no idea how much effort is being done in the back end to make sure that everything's running smoothly. It's unbelievable. Unless you've been in that space, you have no idea.
Absolutely. And I had been in doing, like, even going back to Cox, one of the business units we have, about 80%, we had 80% market share. But when you go into a car dealership and you run, you want to get credit to buy a car, behind the scenes, the way that works is that dealership has contracts with banks,
Right.
and our software would build a profile of your credit profile. So very, you know, secure data. We had to be very careful. And then we pull off the pieces that said it was you. And it's more kind of the essence of your profile.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would ship it to all of the dealers, various banks. And then they would have a rush to give us back and, you know, acceptance, but they wouldn't know who you really were. And then we would present that to the dealer and then they can make a decision with you, the buyer. But that was
Nice.
a great example when that would break, because it could be like the bank system was slow. And then we would have performance metrics about how fast we deliver it. And so there'd be a debate. Was it the bank's issue or is it our issue?
Yeah.
Because the dealers like trying to close a deal. And this would be another example where not only do we have to fix it, but we got to communicate to the dealers. We got to communicate to the banks. So there's a lot of detail. So jumping back to Blameless, we said, you know, let's build a system that lets people fix things better, but also thinks about communication. Right? How do I communicate with the various stakeholders? And we had customers like Ticketmaster, pretty much who's who of SaaS providers used our service. And that was another great example for AI. because when you think about when something breaks, what typically there's this huge, and you seem like you're a little technical too, right? There's this huge conversation, a whole bunch of people said it. And the first thing that happens is, okay, maybe you're like the superstar who knows how to fix things. It's going to be like, okay, what happened? Who did what? How did we get here? Et cetera, et cetera. Great application for AI, because we could take all of that data. And so when the new person arrived, they could just click a button and it would say, here's the key points you need to know. And so we were able to take someone that might take 20 minutes to get up to speed to be able to help fix the problem to 5 minutes.
Nice.
Or 3 minutes.
That's fantastic.
Same thing about communication. My background is technical, but I've been a CEO, I've been a CPO, I've kind of, I call me kind of like a full stack executive. I've done them all, right?
You're a polymath.
Yeah, I can do that. But the typical great technologist is not someone who's going to write a good summary that your PR department might need to put out to the world.
No, absolutely not.
Right?
Not in my experience.
Not so much. But it was great because we could also use AI where instead of, in the old days, and again, it would be like some person jumping on a phone call and saying, okay, guys and gentlemen, ladies, what happened?
Yeah.
And then they're typing notes, which may or may not be accurate because they're not technical. And then they're shipping that, and there's back and forth.
100% of the time, they're not technical. 100% of the time.
Yeah. And so then there's this back and forth between the executive PR team that's trying to write this thing to communicate to customers or maybe the public markets, and then the tech people, and then the tech people are getting frustrated because like, no, you guys don't get it. And another great example for AI. So we took that and we said, okay, let's look at everything that's going on. Let's summarize it from this persona, like a programmable persona perspective, that we're going to be able to share, one with our customers, one for internal, one for the sales team. And so then the technical people then could just say, generate responses, and it would already draft, here's what we think we should send the sales team, here's what we should send the executive team, and here might be its draft for external. And they could say, yes, go, go, go. And then it could just drop that out into a Slack channel. And so literally it could create an AI a channel in Slack for the executives to hang out, so they're not bothering the people that are fixing it. So anyways, another great example of using AI to drive efficiency. And I'm a big believer that AI, where it's really going to shine is helping humans do things that really weren't a good investment of their time in the first place. Like
absolutely, 100%. I completely agree with that. That's why I don't understand all these people who are trying to drum up fear of AI, because if anything, it's going to be a tool that'll make everyone's lives better and easier. I mean, I can't imagine how it would like the stuff that we're really good at, we should keep doing, and we should just give it the stuff that we're not good at or we don't want to do.
Yeah, the things that are a poor investment of humans' time. And so that's where I think AI, it's really about that. So really, and ultimately that's efficiency. So how are business leaders, it's about making people more efficient because they're doing the things like answering the same question 92 different times doesn't make any sense. You should
in
not
92
do that.
different ways. To 92
yeah,
different
92
people.
different ways. Yeah. It's just it's not a good investment. And then the other part I think AI really helps is by doing that, we can deliver a better consumer experience, right? And I gave you an example of in the Relic's case. It means that the apps get fixed faster and people are wasting less time on false alerts. I gave you the example of, with Blameless, where people, instead of saying like, okay, let me tell you what happened for the last 20 minutes, or why don't you spend 20 minutes reading that? They get exactly what they need instantly. Or let me go in the middle of an outage and wordsmith the update for 25 minutes. That's a really great investment of somebody who could be fixing the problem. No, it's not. And so those are great things. So from that, as when I left Blameless, we merged it with a company called Fire Hydrant in that same space. And I said, all right, I really love
good
AI.
names. I love it.
Yeah, really good names, right? Really good names. And I said, yeah, I really just feel in my bones. I've been in a lot of these transformations that AI is going to be bigger than the web and the way it's going to impact small business, big business. It's just going to be huge. And
absolutely.
Going back
and we're just at the start of it. We're, even though we're 2 years in, we're just at the start of it.
I totally agree. And I don't know if you saw that Harvard study. I think it was in Harvard Business Review, but going back to AI and people being afraid. AI is currently, maybe it will be great. It's not great at original thought.
Mm-mm.
It really sucks at original thought. And they did a study, I forgot, it was like, it was like something did Colgate or something like that, but they took the top executives at the company and they said, go use an AI, and they gave them a couple of different models. Go use this AI model, and we want you to build this new adjacent product for, I forgot what it was, like, let's just call it toothpaste. And when they came back, 80% of the executives that used AI had almost the exact same idea, which I
Yep.
think is a
Not surprising.
testament, right? Because how AI is, it takes all this data, it looks for patterns, and it gives the patterns. It's not great at original thought. Humans are great at original
Yeah.
thought.
Well, that's the key thing that people forget. I think they don't understand that what is actually in the LLM, right? What it's full of unoriginal stuff that we've already created. So when you ask it something, it's just that's it, what its scope is. So it's just going to spit back something to you that's already been done and maybe combined in new ways, but you're not going to get true originality from LLMs.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people really don't understand. Or even you think about, like, say, Chat GPT, behind the scenes, it can only process so many bytes. And
Right.
so it's grabbing, it's got its huge model that it already has, and then it's grabbing a few pieces of things that you are determining, it's determining is relevant, and then it's shipping it off to process.
Yeah.
And that's all it can do.
That's right.
Anyways, with this, I'm like, all right, this is huge. It's exciting. It's going to be transformative. Where's an area I can play that it's not oversaturated? Because as you know, there's billions that, like, to me, like, people are trying to build new models. That's, tens of billions of dollars to compete for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Above
Don't
my
want to
pay
do it.
grade.
Yeah, don't want to do a startup on that. I know what my chances, because, like, I've done big company things, I've done startups, and I always say startups are generally, one or zeros, especially tech startups. You kind of, you win or you totally lose, right?
Exactly.
Most VCs get that. And so I was kind of, what is that? What could be that? And where's an area that, like, is not only just from a business perspective, but that just deserves a little bit more tenderness, a little bit more love. Like, where can this help? And so I said, what about offline AI? What about, real business? Like, how could you help them? And so that's where I came up with the company right now that we're working on, called Product Genius. It's
Product Genius. Another great
Yes.
name.
Yeah, we like it. So,
And what is this Product Genius? What can Product Genius do for me?
yeah, great question. So I always talk about scenarios because that's kind of exciting, right? So imagine that you walk into a bowling alley, okay? And in the bowling alley, maybe by the video games, you see a QR code. Have questions, have an issue, scan QR code. Same thing by the lanes. And you, as a consumer, you're at the lane and the pens get stuck. We've all had that happen. And you scan it and you say, the pens are stuck. And it says, and it can literally speak to you conversationally. If you've seen that, our new version actually can speak, or you can type. And it says, great, did you push the reset button? Oh, I didn't know about that. Okay. Yes, I pushed the reset button. It didn't work. Okay, great. It looks like you're on lane 2 and it's stuck. I'm going to get somebody to take care of that right away. Would you like an update on how quickly they're going to do that? Yes, I would. Give me your text on your phone. No, I'm good.
Nice.
Behind the scenes, the AI literally gets on the Motorola radio that everybody has in the bowling alley and says, and you can name the AI. We call it digital employees. It literally will speak and it will say, hey, it's Alice. I've got a customer on lane 2. I already double checked that the reset button didn't work. And I told somebody he's going to be there. They'd like an update. And then the employee can say, Alice, tell him I'll be there in 15 minutes. And so that consumer experience is great. Somebody's on their way. They'll be there in 15 minutes on your phone. You don't have to go to the front desk, explain what happened, then wait who knows how long for somebody to come, then tell them the exact same thing you told the people at the front desk. Like, it's a win for the consumer and it's a win for the business. Same thing, you're in that crane game, your kids, they lost the thing, it's not working. Hey, this crane game's not working. It took my token. All right, before you're going and hunting, where's the kid that works in the arcade? Boom, boom, boom. It's the same type of thing. Great. Would you like an update? Somebody's there, gets on the radio, tell them. Now, what's nice is now we're taking AI and immediately solving consumer problems.
Yep.
Or even upselling. So, for example, someone says, hey, this is great, but I can't believe you're charging me $25 for a bowling now. This is crazy. and say, well, bowling has changed and pricing has gone into this. But did you know on Thursdays and Tuesdays from this time to this time, we have a discount. Would you like a coupon to get a discount for that? Yes, I would. And then literally it says add to Apple Wallet. So we're pretty, like, we think we're pretty excited about this thing that we've built, and it can also integrate into the POS system, so it can do orders. It knows what's in the POS system. So like that's an example of, say, like a bowling alley with what we've built with Product Genius. It also can ingest everything in your website or your knowledge. So anything that's you exist, like menus or whatever.
So it trains itself.
It trains itself. Like literally,
nice.
you click scan website, add offline content, automatically knows that.
Beautiful.
So that's cool. I'll give you one other, I think, kind of cool scenario. But imagine you're at a hotel, right? We're at a hotel. We're in the room. There's already a QR code. We've already seen the ones where you check in and you keep getting these random texts where it's like, I hope you're having good. It's Sally. And then if you respond, then it says something. Whereas this, you can create that digital employee, scan everything you want. You can even scan like nearby hotels, like what are the popular restaurants, or if you have, and so then consumer can scan a QR code, and if they want to order in order service, instead of having one QR code for that and maybe some other way, and you're getting text, they could scan that and they can order on it.
Nice.
They can ask a question. What are fun venue things to do around the hotel? How late is the pool open? I'd like a towel. So same thing. Oh, would you like a large towel or small towel? I'd like a large towel. Just one? Yes, just one. Great. Would you like an update on that? Yes, I would. Great. I've got it. And then going back to, without having to call the front desk and the front desk call, housekeeping. Yeah. Now it just comes.
No, I love the idea. The only question I have is, I mean, a lot of people, even though generative AI is getting better and better, what do you do about hallucinations? I mean, you have to put I'm assuming you have to put some guardrails around it. Like, what if all of a sudden you started talking philosophy or politics with this thing? Would it like totally lose itself, or how do you keep it from hallucinating?
Great question. So there's a thing called temperature, which you can't access if you're using ChatGPT, which is in essence of how much it makes believe, or kind of like makes jumps in logic. So we've already tuned it down to, and like, for example, we have a different customer that is a law firm that has a SaaS service that uploaded books on a particular law that they have a SaaS service, and it's answered all the questions 100% accurately. How do we do that? We turn down the temperature, and you literally can create prompts, and we do all this behind the scenes. So like, if you don't 100% know the answer, don't make it up. And literally it takes that in the prompt. So behind the scenes, what we've done is put all of those prompts in there that make sure it doesn't hallucinate, that make sure it's accurate. If it's like off context, for example, someone says, hey, here's my English paper. Can you reread it and make sure that it's all good? It would say,
I can't believe Trump made my pins get stuck in lane 2.
Exactly. Behind the scenes, it could say, hey, the boss said that I really need to focus on things for Southern Cajun Charm restaurant. Right. So we've put all of that logic in there, and because I don't have that much more time, but it's cool too when you think about programming it. Yeah. You literally have a button. So like you could say scan website. Now it can answer without any work everything that your website knows, and it can scan it on a regular basis. So if your website changes, it can answer any of those questions. You can embed it in your website. You can put it in real life. You can make it answer emails. You can make it talk on your social media. You can make it talk on your radio. So we've really kind of thought of what are all the offline ways that you might want this AI to do.
No, I love it. I love it.
And then since you're saying buttons, yeah.
Since you mentioned it, it's time to think like a futurist. It's the year 2035. It's 10 years from now. Where do you think this will be? I mean, how much further can it get? Will it be instantiated as a physical object, or will it stay virtual, or where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Well, where I see myself, here's what I'd say. Like this, business-wise, I would say everything I just described, I believe will absolutely happen. Does that mean that Product Genius Guru is going to be the one that's going to do it? That the market will decide. No,
you're going to have a lot of competers in that space.
We're going to have a lot of competitors.
I believe it.
But I think that this is offline AI. There's so many things like automating your HR and all that. I'm really excited. Again, whether we do it or somebody else, I absolutely believe those kind of physical experience. Think about like how many times have we been in a Target and we're looking for a particular thing, or Home Depot, and we have to go find them person who's got the thing that they can scan that then tells us exactly where it is. Well, if there's a QR code and I said, I'm looking for this, and it just says, it's right here. I already know where you are. Take 2 aisles over.
Yeah, but the store doesn't want you
right
to go
there.
directly there. It wants you to meander so you see other things too.
Well, we could do that too. But anyways, I'm excited that these things are going to happen, which means that we're going to waste a lot less of our time.
Right.
And I think that people that work at these businesses are going to waste a lot less of their time. So efficiency is going to go up, which I think is going to be.
What do you say to businesses that are like, oh yeah, but that means I can hire less employees? The businesses will like that, but I'm assuming the employees wouldn't.
Well, here's what I would say. This is all about giving employees the ability to focus on the more important things, the guest experience. So certainly there'll be some impact, but I think that will be reallocated to other ways of doing what humans do best, which is think and interact with humans versus doing menial tasks and doing repetitive tasks that are really no value, which also suck the life out of you. So hopefully AI will give us the ability to do things that are more interesting and more empowering.
Right. Well, I mean, it's all a decision of the business, right? I mean, they can say, okay, let's get rid of Sally because Alice is here, but then you've got one less person to act on other things and provide better service in other ways. So it's really, it all depends on the business. It's like AI is a tool. You can use it for good or evil, and hopefully people will use it for good, right?
Totally agree. I'll give you like one thing I did when we were at Cox. We did this big transformation, and one of the things we said is pencils down, heads up. Is we were automating a lot of things, not to take people out of the job, but instead of, okay, let me do all of this. Think about check-in. How many times are we standing there for 10 minutes doing absolutely nothing while they're typing away like crazy?
Yeah.
That should go away where they could say, hey, I hope you have a great experience. You're all checked in. Here's where this is. Here's a great hotel. What else can I ask for you? That's what I'm envisioning and hoping for the future.
Yeah. I mean, those pain points, we need to address those pain points first, because and then you can use humans for other things, because we've got big brains. We should use our big brains for those things.
Yes, and we grow from it. Like when we use our brain to think, the data is clear. We just get smarter. When we do repetitive actions, not only does it take our soul away, we don't get any smarter.
Exactly right. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
2 ways. If you want to check out more about Product Genius, just go to productgenius.guru, Guru.
Nice.
And if there's anything I could ever help you do on transformation, you can visit my website. I don't look for money. It's not selling anything. Just go to Ken, crazy last name, GAV as in Victor, RANO V as in Victor, IC.com. Chris, thanks so much for having me on.
Fantastic. I'll put the links in the show notes. So if anybody wants to go, they can go direct. So thank you so much. It's been great.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Pixels and philosophies merge and mold, a future untold, unseen.